Okay, Jeff, are we ready to get started?
I'm ready if everyone else is. So good afternoon, folks. My name is Jeff Van Treese. I operate the Michigan Association of Recovery Residences, and I think I made a few friends by seeing some of you folks at the MARR Best Practices conference that we had in Dearborn. And the MARR team and the NAR team are incredibly pleased with the both the turnout. We had standing room only. And I thought the presenters there did a wonderful job. For those of you who did not attend the meeting, the conference, that's all going to be made available to you via virtual recordings on both the plenaries and the breakout sessions. And we'll have that information for you sometime in the next month. They told me November 15th, so I'm figuring sometime in December we'll actually get it. But anyway, if those folks, if you haven't been to the conference or you only were able to come to 1 or 2 of the 3 days of the conference, I'd encourage you to look at your emails, go through your videos, and take a half a day or a day to listen to and review the presenters. Today, Catherine O'Hare is ill today. She won't be here with us, but we've got the rest of the MARR team, I think. Yep. Wally Slatinsky is here too. So, okay, perfect. So I'm not sure exactly how Catherine ran these meetings, but I'm going to go ahead and ask our team members to go ahead and do a little report. Then we're going to have some people from Smart Recovery, Christi, Alicea, and Brad talk about what Smart Recovery is, how it might impact your residents, and where and how you can get a hold of Smart Recovery meetings, either virtual or in person, that might be in your neck of the woods. So having said all of that, Kayla, since you're number 1, and I should also tell the audience that Kayla is now Kayla King. She's married as of what, a couple of weeks ago, yeah? So yeah. What good news do you have to share with us, young lady?
Well, that was one of the updates. Just so you know, yeah, my last name has changed and my email has changed. It's just K King instead of K Hull. So just so everyone knows that. Speaking of the conference, I've had a couple emails come in about questions regarding CEUs. If you were at the conference, you have questions about your CEUs or certificate for them, any kind of things like that. I'm going to put Katie Boardman's email in the chat. She's the one that you direct all of those questions to. So if you have any conference questions, anything about the upcoming videos that are going to be coming out, anything to do with the slides or any of the presentation materials, she's the one to contact about all of that information. So I put her email in the chat. Another thing is I've gotten a couple of emails over the last month or so regarding updates to the MARR website under the accredited operators tab. So if any of you operators, I would love if any of the operators would go to our website and kind of look for their information under the accredited operators tab. See if the phone numbers are right, the emails are right, the contact information is right. If you had any updates to your program fees in the last couple of months, we definitely want to keep that information as up to date as possible. So if you could go online and check that out and just email me if there's any updates, I'll get on it right away and make those changes for you. Other than that, I think I'm good. I think that's everything.
Okay, thanks, Kayla. Anybody have any questions of Kayla?
If so, if you think of anything, just put it in the chat and I'll respond to it.
Hearing none, I would now like to call on Kelly Darren, who is our RecCap, our Recovery Capital Assessment and Evaluator person. We've got some news on this. We had a meeting with some other states that are doing rec cap, and so we're modifying the rollout of this a bit. So, Kelly, are you able to, there you are.
Yeah, absolutely. So first I want to say it was really nice to run into a couple of people at the conference that I've been working with over the last couple of months. It's always nice to be able to meet face to face and outside of the Zoom environment. So what we were referring to in some of the changes in the rolling out of the system is in conversation with like Virginia and Washington.
You're a little quiet, Kelly.
Okay, I'm gonna hold this up. Sorry about that. So in having some conversations with affiliates that are also rolling out the rec cap program and voicing some of the concerns that we have heard from our operators in an attempt to make everything as streamlined as possible for everyone, recognizing that everyone is a little bit different. Everyone has different resources. Some people have an electronic record already. Some people don't have an electronic record already. So what we're doing and the phase we're moving into with the onboarding with RecCap is it can be as simple as you put some basic demographic information in for your clients and complete evaluations. That's going to give us our data. All the way through to you can add events into the system, you can add the documents into the system, you can add some resources for the clients into the system, you can do goal planning with the system. There are a myriad of functions that are within the system. What we're asking right now, after having a conversation with the state, what we're asking right now is minimally that each operator complete evaluations with our clients. So essentially what that looks like is you and I getting together, going through a little bit of training. It takes about 2 hours, putting the folks that you have in your homes in the system and completing the evaluations with them. When I say completing the evaluations,
You're getting a little quiet.
sorry about that. When I say completing evaluations with them, what that looks like is we ask that within the 72 hours of intake, the first evaluation is completed with that individual. What that looks like for the very first time is somebody sitting down, employee, recovery coach, whoever does that function within your organization, sitting down with that client and going through that evaluation. In saying that, a lot of the evaluation, a lot of the questions that are in the evaluations are things that you will get either way. So it's going to help by and large with the client, kind of sitting down with them, having some time to have a conversation with them, getting to know them a little bit, and also giving us some of the data that the state is asking us to provide to them so that we can help fund some endeavors that are identified as areas of need. So it can be as simple as that, 45 minutes at intake at the most. After that, they have a portal, they log in and they complete them themselves after that. So it can be, that's entry level, and that's what we're asking everyone to do. Aside from that, we can go further into discussion of what the system can offer for you and what you are interested in using in the system. So that's something that's newer, just to kind of gauge the need of the operators. You know, some people don't need to have the documents in the system. Some people don't need to have the UA results stored in the system. So customizing your need to the system while minimally for every organization having evaluations completed. So that's kind of exciting. It's able to customize for everybody, like I said, and we know your time is valuable. So we need the information. The information is being asked. The data is being asked. This is how we're going to be able to get funding, etc. So that's something that's different in the system. We're still offering a waiver, so that's been renewed for the next year. So you're still going to be able to get, even if you're new to the process, you're able to get $300 per certified address to purchase a piece of equipment to complete the evaluation with the individuals. Whether that mean, the first time they only use it, and then after that they can use their phone to complete their own. It can be however you need to use it, however you use the system. And another thing that came out in conversation with the state is that there's money out there if you're looking to say hire somebody, you want to hire someone that's just going to be working, completing evaluations in the rec cap. It's happening now. People are doing it. We have had someone in Muskegon County get some funding for a person, pay an individual to complete rec caps for them. And they were given a PA2 funds to do that. We also have grant writing going on right now, asking for not only funding for an individual, but for transportation if necessary to get people to complete the evaluations. So something to kind of keep in mind is no matter what level you'll be using the system, you can ask for funding to either hire someone or whatever you identify as the need. You're able to request that from your PHP. So it might require thinking a little bit out of the box, but we've been guaranteed that the money's there. It's just for the asking. And so that's kind of where we're at right now with that. We need to kind of identify what you need within your program and then just ask for it, essentially. And then I think we already kind of have the foot in the door because we have a couple of places that have already received funding. So we can kind of use that as precedent. They've kind of rolled it out and make it a little bit easier for everybody that come follow along. So that's something that we're really looking forward to being able to do, because once that precedent has been set, as you all know, it makes it a little bit easier for everyone else to kind of follow behind. So in saying that, does anyone have any questions? I know I've seen a lot of you before. I have not seen some of you, but we do expect minimally for everyone to be able to do the evaluations on their clients in the system. So does anyone have any questions regarding the system? Any concerns, anything that I can help you with?
I'm going to speak up. I have one.
Okay.
Hi, my name is Dave. I'm with Dawn Farm. We are not yet accredited with you.
Okay.
We're building up to it. But
Awesome.
is there a rec cap app for phones?
Not at this time. They're currently working on it. They're road mapped out. So I don't have an exact date, but at this time it's in the Google Chrome browser.
Okay, so in my case, if I can take a minute of your time, I would have each house manager create a rec cap account on their laptop and then evaluate the individuals in their location.
Correct.
And then it's going to be all separate accounts for each location.
So your entire organization is under one umbrella. You would only have one login to be able to access that. But you are able to limit who can see which clients. So say you have your group of folks that are working with one home, we'll limit what they're able to see so they're not able to see everyone organizational wide.
Okay. Cool. Thank you.
You're welcome.
If I can kind of explain it in layman's terms, lowest common denominator. There's two parts to this rec cap, recovery capital, right? One is the assessment. That's what we're asking you to do now. The assessment portion is simply sitting down with the client. He fills out his answers to the assessment, and out comes a number that is associated with how much recovery capital he's built up. That's all we're asking you to do right now. And the reason why we're asking you to do that is because that's how they're doing it in Maine, Virginia, and Washington. And we tried somewhat unsuccessfully here in Michigan to get both the assessment and the planning and engagement portion. Planning and engagement portion that's the phase 2. We're not asking that everybody complete that immediately. That is the portion of the rec cap assessment experience is going to take time to fill out the information that needs to go, so you develop a plan for the person. But the assessment itself is not that difficult. It's not going to take that much time. There are individuals, as Kelly said, that are asking for money right now. For instance, Shar Academy, Echo Detroit, Deb Garrett, for those of you who know her, is putting in a request for funding for the person who's going to be sitting there, the peer recovery coach who's going to be sitting there with your resident and taking the time to say, here's what your evaluation is, and to get your assessment back. So that is something, I think she's asking for $20 an hour for reimbursement. And that is something that we need to have. The group of us, we all need to have that information to make the sales job, to make the advocacy job to the state of Michigan easier. We need to be able to show that there's some objective number that results in, here's a better number, here's more recovery capital the longer you stay in our recovery residence. And in order to do that, we need to actually have some of the scores coming back. So that's why it's important for everybody, whatever your experience was in the past with RECCAP, start over a new leaf, new page, and it's just going to be, we're asking for the assessments. That's the bottom time ask for the operators. And it's something that is the most valuable thing for us as a industry, so that we can show to the people who are funding us, yeah, it works. We're doing a good job here, it works. Our outcomes are better. So that's the end of, I think, Kelly's discussion, unless anybody's got any other questions about that.
I see Catherine had a question in the chat. It looks like, how long do the assessments take? So generally speaking, I would say maximum of 45 minutes. That includes sitting down with the individual, getting the information, their basic demographic information into the system, and completing the evaluation with them. Remember, that's a one-time thing. That's at intake. Once you do that, then they take over from there in their own portal and update their evaluation subsequently. So it's about 45 minutes.
Yeah. Not that much time, and particularly when you compare that to the benefits. Because if we can show to our state funding sources that what we're doing works, that results in more money from our state funding sources. And this is an objective third party, just numbers. It'll come down to what we can show in terms of improvements for the people that have been there at the 45-day mark, at the 90-day mark, at the 180-day mark. And as Kelly just mentioned, it's really not that much time from the operator's perspective. It's kind of a one-time shot. When they walk in, you do that with them. It takes, let's say it's an extra hour, okay? That's not all that much time when you translate that into there's money at the end of the rainbow, as long as we can complete this and show we've got better outcomes. Why? Because we run an evidence-based, science-based program that works. So, Mr. Slatinsky, are you able to hear me today?
I think I can hear you. Can you hear me? That's
yes, I can. All right.
I've had so much trouble with the microphone on this computer, but I think we finally got it resolved. But I have to wear this terrible headset, which I feel claustrophobic with it on. But anyway, yeah, my name is Wally Slatinsky, and I'm outreach coordinator for MARR. Currently, is focusing mostly on recovery community organizations, recovery community centers. You know, we do have 2 organizations now that have been certified according to the UARCO standards. Standards were developed originally in Virginia with some cooperation from the NARR, the national organization, and Dave Sheridan, and creating those. And we were granted access to them, and we're using those as our standards for certification of the RCO/RCCs. We currently have, as I said, 2 that are certified now, and I believe we have 2 others that are in the process who have completed their applications and are putting together all the information and all the proper policies and procedures that need to happen in order to for the certification to progress. Other than that, if anybody has any questions about the RCOs, the first thing I would suggest is that you go on our website and you can click on the top where it says RCOs, and there's a lot of information there. If you have any other questions, Kayla, maybe we can put my email address in the chat, and please feel free to email me, and I will very definitely get back in touch with you and help answer any questions that you might have in that regard. I think just as an addition, Jeff, I just wanted to mention too what Deb Garrett is doing with her program, and you didn't talk about this earlier, I don't believe, but she's trying to centralize the ability to gather data and to do information for RecCap in one central location in Detroit, because they have so many residences around there, and they're trying to get some funding right now to be able to hire people to help to do that. So they will have a central location for people to accomplish the application process and the assessment process right there in the center of Detroit, which I think is a pretty good deal, actually.
You're absolutely right. Well, in fact, they use that down in Fort Lauderdale successfully, where they've got one recovery community center that provides RecCap and peer recovery coaching, I think, for about 8 different individual recovery homes that are located in the general proximity, 10-minute, 15-minute drive. And so that's what I see going forward as a model that has been successful in Florida. I think it makes a heck of a lot of sense to do it here in Michigan, a rural area as well, to have kind of a hub and spoke approach. But recovery community centers and recovery residences and RecCap are all part of the same industry. And so to the extent that you run a recovery residence and there's a recovery community center or recovery community organization in your neck of the woods, I'm sure you've already talked to those people and you've made contact with them, but that's something to think about going down the road a year from now, 2 years from now, actually having that. So unless anybody has any other questions, I'd like to introduce Christi Alicea. Am I pronouncing that right?
You are. Thank you.
Not my fault. Won't happen again.
It's correct.
Lucky stab. Yeah. Did you have Brad with you, Alicea?
Unfortunately, Brad is sick as a dog today, so you guys are stuck with me.
That worked.
So thank you so much for inviting me. I'm really excited to be here and share a little bit about Smart Recovery and about some of the work that we've done with Fletcher Group in recovery residences across the U.S. And if you don't mind, I've got a PowerPoint that I'd like to share.
Please do.
Okay, wonderful. So wish me luck here. I don't usually drive, so be patient with me. Okay, can you all see that okay?
Yep.
Okay, great. So just to give you a little bit of history, I'm not sure how much everyone knows. I'm guessing there's a varying degree of what information you guys know, but we have been around for almost 30 years. Smart Recovery is worldwide. We're going to be celebrating our anniversary at our conference in Salt Lake City next April. So that's pretty exciting. We are a nonprofit and we're rooted in evidence-based our approaches to recovery. So our program is based on CBT, cognitive behavioral therapy, REBT, rational emotive behavioral therapy, and we use motivational interviewing. So any of you familiar with those things, those are what our program is based upon. We use trained volunteers to run all of our meetings. So everyone has to go through our training. And we offer over 1,500 meetings between the US and Canada, and they're both public and private. We have face-to-face, and we have a really nice array of virtual or Zoom meetings that we offer people in case you don't have a face-to-face meeting near you. We have local online meetings, which those are a smaller type virtual meeting where you might find people in your own community. So you would probably be familiar with those participants. Then we have our national online meetings, and those can be really, really large, and anyone is invited to attend those. So we get people from all over, even some from out of the country, actually. So we believe at SMART with an individual's power of choice, and people really are there to design their own recovery. Okay. We don't, oh my gosh, I'm sorry, my cat is climbing on me. We don't tell people what to do at SMART Recovery. And it works for any type of addictive or negative behavior, which is really helpful, because you might be at a SMART meeting and the same individuals will be at the same meetings who could maybe be there to overcome heroin. And someone might be there trying to stop their problematic relationship with alcohol or sex, shopping, gambling, you name it. Everyone can be there at the same meeting because our tools and our techniques will work for everyone. We don't have to have separate meetings. Our meetings are non-judgmental and stigma-free. And what that means is we don't tell people what to do, as I mentioned before. And we recognize that there's cognitive and behavioral components of addiction that can be changed. We don't require the use of labels, although if it's helpful for somebody in their recovery to identify as an addict or an alcoholic, you can do that if that's what helps you in your own recovery. This is one of my favorite parts about SMART. Participants learn skills for coping with their anger, frustration, anxiety. SMART is about self-management, okay? And I'll share with you, I'm a family member. I'm not in recovery myself, but I use tons of our SMART tools. I use it for my own anxiety because I have terrible anxiety. Obviously, frustration. We all get frustrated, right? And I've used these so many times with my kids, and I have a lot of family members who are either in recovery or still, actively using. So it has helped me as a family member, what I've learned in our family and friends meetings, and just our general tools about self-management. So I want you to know that if you don't take anything else away from this, just know that it's a great program in general for self-management. Very helpful. So our program is based on 4 points, and tools and techniques discussions are based on each of these 4 points. Then the first one is building and maintaining motivation. The second is coping with urges. The third is managing thoughts, feelings, and behaviors. And the fourth is achieving a balanced lifestyle. And if Brad were here, he would say, well, I always say a more balanced lifestyle because I don't really know what a balanced lifestyle looks like. So that's kind of his line. But that's what our program is based off of. And there's tools that go with each of those 4 points. So what makes us different? We meet people where they are in their recovery journey. So we could have somebody, I think we probably all know of somebody who has been mandated by the courts to attend a recovery program. Or maybe their spouse or loved one has said, you get to a recovery meeting or you're out, I'm done. So they may come to a meeting and they might be in that pre-contemplation or contemplation stage of change, right? Maybe not really thrilled to be there, and they may still be maybe drinking, So we welcome them at our meetings. It's okay. They're not quite ready to change. Come on over to a SMART meeting. It's okay. We're evidence-based, as I mentioned. and secular. But we also support people who attend 12-step or other faith-based programs. So this is important because we don't have religion in our, it's part of our program. So if you have a strong faith, that's fine. If you're agnostic or atheist, that's fine. It doesn't matter because we just don't have religion as part of our program. We also encourage anyone who's already attending a 12-step meeting or other types of recovery meetings to still attend SMART. About a little over 30% of our participants at SMART also attend 12-step meetings. And there obviously, it makes sense, but I'll just say it, there's research that shows individuals who attend both SMART and 12-step have a higher rate of recovery by attending both. Let's see here. Sorry, I'm losing my thing. Okay, so we are also very accepting and have always supported individuals who take or choose medication-assisted recovery or treatment, or they are taking behavioral health medications, as long as it's prescribed and it's being taken as prescribed. So if it's prescribed by a provider, a doctor, whomever, as long as you're taking it as prescribed, then we support whatever anyone chooses to help in their recovery. We have specialized meetings. So we have BIPOC meetings, family and friends, as I mentioned, teen and young adults, veterans, LGBTQIA, meetings for treatment professionals. And we have a lot of meetings in the correctional settings as well, many prisons, jails. We've done a couple of pilot programs in the Florida courts, and those were very successful, which the outcomes were almost identical to the studies that I'm going to tell you about in recovery homes. So what we're going to talk about is our Successful Life Skills program. It's a workbook divided into 12 weeks, and it's based on our self-empowering approach. We have self-help tools that are based on scientific research and methods. This workbook has been really helpful and used in prisons, jails, recovery residences, and a lot of reentry programs. And again, as I mentioned, in the Florida court. It's very easy to use, and it has a very easy to read format. Participants use this while in a meeting, but also in between meetings. The project that I'm going to tell you about with the recovery homes, we did this in conjunction with the Fletcher Group. And I'm not sure, are you guys all familiar with the Fletcher Group? Probably a lot of you might.
Yeah.
Okay. So they provide technical assistance to recovery residences. And we did this program with them. I'm trying to move my screen here. We ran the Successful Life Skills 12-week curriculum at the recovery homes to determine effectiveness for that and for the residents. And it was to determine the impact of SMART on recovery outcomes and the implementation barriers and facilitators, okay? Each home received the facilitator training, and we gave that to up to 2 staff members at each home. They received the books that I just showed you in the previous screen and all the technology to run an online meeting or anything that they needed. They were matched with one of our volunteer facilitators who is trained, and those facilitators delivered the sessions remotely in the home for the first 12 weeks. And each home and resident completed brief evaluations throughout the course. Findings on the homes to this date were out of 89 homes is what we implemented. In 23 states that we have enrolled since last fall, there were 154 people, and the evaluations were done at the intake. That was the 154. The evaluations took place through the intake, after session 6, which 76 people participated in. And at the end of the workbook, session 12, there were 49 people, and then 3-month follow-up. So that really fell off a bit. That was 6. From this program, the intake demographics, so you know, primarily white females, most of them were employed with an average age of 38. They reported the average age of their first use of being 16 years old. What's staggering is that 45% reported having overdosed. And the good news with this is that a majority, 66%, reported that it was their first time residing in a recovery home. So that shows that we really had that early intervention with getting the smart recovery in at a recovery home, and that they were able to be in a recovery home earlier. So with the sessions, both sessions 6 and 12 with the evaluations, they showed that participants ranked Smart Recovery, the importance of the program, their confidence in using, and the difficulty of aspects using the SMART in the course materials, excuse me. Their confidence in the ability to implement the tools was about an 8, and SMART being important to them in their long-term recovery was about an 8. And then the difficulty in the course material was about a 2. And that stayed the same with both the sessions 6 and 12. So that was very, very much the same. But at the very end, at the very end in session 12, 100% agreed that the course increased their knowledge about recovery and met their approval. It was implementable, and that they've been using the skills that they obtained. So that's a little bit about SMART and using successful life skills in the recovery home. I do want to also let you know, since we talked about some of the meetings, we do offer verification forms for those virtual meetings and many of our face-to-face meetings. And we have also started a multiple pathways partnership program. If there is a home that is using Smart Recovery and wants to be on our partnership listing, that's really helpful to a lot of our partners, because we get calls a lot from people who are looking for someone who uses SMART. And again, you can use 12-step and SMART, that's fine. It doesn't matter. We just want to see people having a choice in their recovery and using multiple pathways to recovery. Does anyone have any questions? No? There's my email. If there is a recovery home that is interested in being trained in Smart Recovery, we can get you a discount to help you get this started. So please feel free to contact me and I will work with you on that.
Christi,
I have one comment and a question.
Christi, I have a question.
Okay.
Yeah, this is Wally Slatinsky. I think I believe 100% in multiple pathways, and everybody needs to find their own path through their, and through whatever recovery program that they choose to be in. But my question to you directly is, I hear the term evidence-based being used so frequently and in so many different ways, and I'm just curious about what you mean, and what is your interpretation of using evidence-based as the Smart Recovery Program being evidence-based?
Good question. The techniques and tools that we use are evidence-based, from the cognitive behavioral therapy, REBT, and motivational interviewing. So that's what we mean by that. We also have there is a lot of research done on Smart Recovery. The largest study done on SMART in our meetings was done in Australia, because as I said, we are worldwide. The benefit of attending 10 Smart Recovery meetings, and this is any type, so it could be one of our correctional type meetings or regular SMART meetings. By attending 10 meetings, individuals who had been incarcerated 2 years post-release showed a 42% decrease in reconvictions and a 21% decrease in violent crimes. So that's one example of our largest research study, but the other part, I think, addressed the evidence-based.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
I have a comment and one question. My comment is, this appears to be if a PhD scientist mated with an AA person, the child is smart recovery. Okay, people didn't like that. Anyway, that was my thought. The other thing that really struck me about smart recovery was at the MARR conference, I had an opportunity to talk to 2 Muslims who said, you know, they didn't say this, but I'm going to put this in my own language. It's kind of difficult and a turnoff to go to AA meetings at a church every day and to deal with church-related things that come up in AA meetings. So I'm thinking this is probably easier to digest smart recovery for the non-Christians in the world. So that was my end of my comments. My question to you is there a website or something that's going to show the geographical area where smart recovery meetings are being held in Michigan?
Yeah, you know what? I'm going to stop sharing here. What I will do is I'll type in our website, and it's smartrecovery.org. So it's very simple. And what you do is you go in and you type your zip code or city and state, and that will give you a list of meetings. So if you don't have a face-to-face meeting or a local online, it will give you a list of all the national meetings for you to attend. And to your point about individuals who don't, maybe aren't Christians or don't have a strong faith, you know, I touched on it briefly. Before COVID, you know, now we're working remotely, but before COVID, I was in the office and I would either hear the phone calls we would get, or I've answered them for people who just, you know, they've tried and tried and tried again, going to 12-step. Now, I will say, I grew up going to AA meetings with my dad. I have nothing against 12-step meetings. You know, they helped many family members, friends. They're great. And as I said, many of our participants attend 12-step. There's nothing wrong, but there is a decent, you know, percentage of people who have also come to us, and they have given many reasons where it hasn't worked for them. And religion is one of them. And we have heard all kinds of other stories, and they just need something different. And I always equate it to, you know, you go to the doctor and say, hey, doctor, I'm depressed. And the doctor says, oh, okay, well, here's some Prozac. And you go back in 2 months, still depressed. Keep taking your Prozac. Go back in 6 months. Keep taking your Prozac. And trying and trying and trying and not changing anything. It's not, you know, they need something else, right? And so this is another option for someone's recovery and to potentially save their life. So I always like to mention that because I've heard the calls. I know what people, you know, need, what they've asked for. So
Sure. Whatever works, as long as it works. We don't care how you got there.
We actually just had a meeting with Recovery Dharma. You know, how can we help each other out for our multiple pathways program? You know, we're all in this together. We just want to help people. Yeah. So anything else?
For what you do, Christi. Anybody have any questions?
I have a question. So I'm the program supervisor here at our men's recovery house, and we have quite a few people that come through that have different religious views or whatever. So I know that the person that was running this house before me, Adam McGuire, he was really into smart recovery. And that was like something that like I kind of got to experience a little bit with him when I first started here. He was doing, I believe, like online meetings with somebody like once a week, where they would do it like as a group, like through kind of like a Zoom meeting or whatever with our residents. So I feel like smart recovery is something like it doesn't hurt to like have this knowledge and power here in our house so we can offer it to our residents. We're also like kind of like we're in Marquette, Michigan, and right now it seems like a lot of our Alano meetings, like they don't have chairs. Sometimes there's just drama there, like whatever the reason is, you know, sometimes people are just turned off. And then we just have a limited amount of any meetings right now. So I feel like a lot of our guys, our residents here would be very interested in the multiple pathways, as well as feeling like the non-judgment of not everybody really wants to say like, hi, I'm Sarah, I'm an alcoholic or whatever. So I know that that was one thing that really stuck out to me when I got to experience a little bit of the meetings with Adam before, was that people didn't really like identify themselves as that. So I was wondering, so like in order, would we like as the operators, would we get trained in like doing the smart recovery for them, or is that something we would set up to do like through a Zoom with our residents like every week, or how are we just contact you to make that available for them, or?
Yeah, that's a great question. I'm glad we talked about it a little more. Thank you. So if you are able to have somebody at your home trained in smart recovery, and as I said, I can discount that. What we can do is, you know, that's something you can continue to offer for your home right there. And, you know, right in one room. It is hard for us to find a volunteer who can run the meeting virtually right now. If somebody chooses, if you guys choose to have someone trained in your home, and that could be you as an operator, it could be a peer support specialist, you know, that volunteers or works or something. I don't know how, you know, everyone's set up and if it's the same, but if there's somebody else that's has more time, that would be fine. Just somebody to get trained and do that for the home would be the best option. And if you choose that as a home, you can also work, set it up through us with Fletcher Group, and they can work on the evaluations to help provide you with some of the information that I shared with you, but for your specific home as well, to collect that data. So that would be really helpful.
Okay, so if we wanted to like get trained in that or whatever, so like my coworker, Mr. Lacey here, he's actually going to be taking over my position. I'm going out on maternity leave here soon. So would we both be able to get trained at the same time for like, or is it would be 2 separate trainings, 2 separate prices, or would we be able to just sit in on a class or training together, or?
It's online and self-paced. And you make a great point again, is if you can have 2 people trained in a home, that's even better, because if somebody's out sick, you don't have to cancel a meeting, so that you have that consistency for the home. So yes, you can both get trained. We have a discount, but then we also, for non-professionals, we have a scholarship program under our training section. So, you know, whichever works out for you guys the best. So we can work on that.
Thank you.
How long is your training program and what's the cost?
The online training takes about 20 hours, and with our discount for recovery homes, it's $50. There's also a more expensive option. If you were doing it just for CEUs, it's much more expensive. It's $299, but there are some people looking for CEUs.
Yeah, so did you say $50?
50, yeah.
So
and it's 20. Oh, sorry, it's 20 hours and it's self-paced, so you just do it online when you have time.
Okay, so for $50 and 2.5 days worth of time, any operator or anybody can become trained and offer smart recovery.
Yeah, I always joke, it could be your grandma, it can be a librarian in the community. Anyone can run a smart recovery meeting, and of course peers. So.
Thank you.
Welcome. Anyone else? Thank you so much.
Thank you for taking your time and helping educate the uneducated among us, could be me, on all things smart recovery related.
Thank you for all you guys do.
Yeah. Well, we're actually, this group is a great group of people, and we're trying to change the world one little inch at a time. So
Love that.
yeah.
Well, if you guys need anything, please don't hesitate to reach out to me. I put my email in chat, so just shoot me an email.
Okay, great.
All right. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
So we're coming up close to the end of the hour. Does anybody have anything else from the group in terms of things that you want to have discussed? The one thing I'm going to make a command decision on right now is December. I'm going to ask Deb Garrett to come and talk about how to do funding requests.
Okay.
Yeah, because I think funding requests are something that can be relatively easily copied from a template or form, and it's like nothing I've ever seen before. So there are things that you want to be able to gain from others that have gone down that path. And so I was going to ask Deb Garrett, and if anybody else has ever had any success in grant writing, shoot me an email and you'll be invited as well to present. So anyway, that was the one thing I was going to have for the next meeting. The MARR conference is going to be held next year in Richmond, Virginia again. So I think it's the rec cap assessment instrument. So I think that's probably pretty much it in terms of agenda for next month's meeting. Unless anybody has any other questions, I'm going to let you guys all
I did
leave
want to
5
mention
minutes
one
early.
thing, but really quick before everyone leaves.
Okay.
I know we weren't able to mention it since we didn't have a meeting last month, but last month's Recovery Operator of the Month was Drop a House. I think Ginger is still on here. You were noted as Operator of the Month on our website, so congratulations for that. She had a very impressive site review. This month was Building Men for Life. So Building Men for Life has made great strides. They've been certified for a very long time, years in fact, ever since basically the beginning of MARR. And they've opened an
RCO.
RCO recently. Yep, that's been very successful and very popular. So I don't think anyone's on here for Building Men for Life today, but congratulations to them. They will be on our website as well. So
Thank you.
I might want to add that they've been open now for 3 or 4 months.
RCO,
And
yes.
last week, Keith told me they had 2,000 people come through there in 1 week.
Oh, wow.
It's pretty incredible. And Holland is not that big of a city.
Yeah, it's tiny little beach
It's really
town.
incredible. So it's much needed, I guess, and it's definitely something that's going to be used and used well.
Yeah, they put on tons of different events. They have like little karaoke nights and things like that to get the recovery community together. It's been very successful and very loved in that city. So congrats to them. That
Well,
can
it kind of makes sense. That's the vision going back like 3 or 4 years ago was if we could have a recovery community in Michigan that has run by all trained operators. So I got all trained operators now, all using rec cap, and have it intertwined between the recovery residences and the adjacent recovery community centers. That's the way to deliver recovery services to the people in the state of Michigan that need it. So just stay tuned. check with me, 10 more years and the job will be done. So, all right, unless anybody has anything else?
No.
Take the rest of the afternoon off.
Thanks, you
See you guys.
guys.